The Galactic Union's Grand Hall echoed with laughter as the alien council watched the human delegation receive their so-called gift. The ship, a rusted, outdated war vessel, floated in the docking bay like a relic from a forgotten age. The Valkesh ambassador, a tall, reptilian being with gleaming golden scales, smirked as he addressed Captain Darius and his crew. "Consider this a token of our generosity, a real warship for humanity." His words dripped with sarcasm, and the assembled alien representatives chuckled. Humanity, the newest species in the Union, was considered weak, slow, and unworthy of true military power. The other species saw them as fragile beings from a backwater planet, barely worthy of notice. And now, they had been given a ship that was nothing more than an old, broken-down hunk of metal. The ship's hull was dented, its weapons non-functional, and its engine systems barely operational. The Galactic Union saw this as a joke, a way to humiliate humanity by making them struggle with an obsolete piece of junk. Darius clenched his fists but kept his face calm. He could feel the weight of his crew's stares. They were all trained officers, some of the best humanity had, yet they were being mocked like children handed a broken toy. "We appreciate the gift," Darius said, forcing a neutral tone, though inside he was boiling with anger. He turned to his crew. "Let's take a look at our new ship." The laughter continued as the humans walked toward the docking bay, the aliens whispering amongst themselves, predicting how quickly the humans would fail. As soon as Darius and his team stepped inside the ship, the air smelled of rust and stale oxygen. The corridors were dimly lit, dust covering the old control panels. "This thing belongs in a museum," muttered Lieutenant Harris, brushing a hand against the wall. "They want us to humiliate ourselves flying this junk." Darius examined the bridge. The main controls were functional, but barely. Half the screens flickered, and the navigation system was completely fried. The ship had no shields, no modern targeting systems, and its hull was paper-thin compared to newer warships. On the surface, it was exactly what the aliens wanted, a worthless ship meant to prove that humans were too weak for real war. But something felt off. Darius had studied old human warships, and this one didn't match any known designs. Its structure was unusual, its interface a strange mix of old Earth engineering and something else. His fingers moved over the main console, wiping away a layer of dust. That was when he saw it, an inscription in an unknown language, glowing faintly beneath the grime. "What the hell is this?" whispered Harris. "This ship wasn't built by the Union," Darius murmured. "It wasn't even built by us." The realization sent a shiver down his spine. If this ship wasn't human and wasn't from the Union's current fleets, then who built it? And why was it given to them? Before Darius could investigate further, the ship's dormant systems flickered to life. A deep mechanical hum vibrated through the walls as emergency lights snapped on. The bridge control panel glowed, displaying a series of unreadable symbols. Then a voice, cold, synthetic, and ancient, spoke through the ship's speakers. "System awakening. Protocol override detected. Awaiting primary directive." Darius's heart pounded. The crew exchanged stunned glances. "Did anyone touch anything?" Harris asked, stepping back. "Not a damn thing," said Chief Engineer Patel, eyes wide. Darius stared at the flickering screens. Whatever this ship was, it was not dead. And now, it was waking up. But what exactly had they just reactivated? And more importantly, was it under their control? Outside, in the observation decks of the Galactic Union space station, the aliens continued laughing, completely unaware of what had just begun inside the junk ship. The ship trembled as power surged through its ancient circuits, its dim interior now pulsing with an eerie blue light. The humans stood frozen, staring at the consoles as they flickered back to life, displaying cryptic symbols and unreadable sequences of data. A strange hum resonated through the walls, almost like a distant, mechanical whisper. Captain Darius swallowed hard, his mind racing with possibilities. This ship had been labeled as junk, a mockery given to humanity by the Galactic Union. But it was far from dead. Something was buried within its systems, something old and hidden, something the Union either didn't know about or had completely overlooked. System awakening complete. Awaiting command input, the synthetic voice echoed once again, emotionless yet ancient, carrying a weight that sent a chill down Darius's spine. His crew exchanged uneasy glances. Lieutenant Harris, standing closest to the navigation panel, hesitated before speaking. "Captain, if this ship was really as useless as they claimed, why does it have an operational eye?" Darius had no answer, only a gut feeling that they were now standing inside something far more important than anyone had realized. He stepped toward the console, his fingers hovering over the control panel. If this ship was truly operational, then there was a chance, however small, that it could be their key to proving humanity wasn't as weak as the aliens believed. "Identify yourself," Darius commanded, his voice steady but firm. The ship's response was immediate. Vessel designation: Oblivion-class warship. Unknown registry. Primary functions: restricted. Unlock authorization required. A cold silence followed. Oblivion class. Darius had never heard of such a designation before. Even Patel, the engineer with an extensive knowledge of both human and alien ship designs, looked confused. "That classification doesn't exist in any known database," she muttered, running a hand through her dark hair. "It's like this ship was erased from history." The air grew thick with tension. What kind of warship was this? Who had built it? And why had the Galactic Union just handed it to humanity as if it were worthless scrap? Before Darius could issue another command, the ship reacted, on its own. The navigation systems suddenly flashed red, and an alert blared through the bridge. Hostile threat detected. Multiple enemy vessels inbound. Activation of emergency defensive protocols required. The crew barely had time to process the words before the main view screen flickered to life, revealing an external feed of the docking bay. Darius's breath caught in his throat. Out in the void, several warships were approaching the station, their hulls gleaming under the distant starlight. But these weren't just any ships. They belonged to the Zorkan Dominion, one of the most aggressive factions in the Union, notorious for their ruthless conquests. The same species that had laughed the loudest when humanity was given this junk ship. "They're preparing to fire," Harris shouted, pointing at the screen where the energy signatures of the Zorkan ships were spiking. "Why would they attack now?" Patel asked, her voice laced with confusion. "The Union doesn't allow battles in station space unless they know something we don't," Darius interrupted, realization dawning in his mind. His gaze snapped back to the ship's control panel, his heart pounding. They know what this ship really is. The gift had been a lie. This wasn't a joke. This was a setup. The Galactic Union had given humanity this ship for a reason, not to mock them, but to get rid of something dangerous. And now, the Zorkan were coming to destroy it before humanity could unlock its full power. The ship's eye spoke again, this time with a sense of urgency. Engagement unavoidable. Defensive countermeasures recommended. Weapons systems partially functional. Awaiting manual override. Darius turned to his crew. He could see the same thoughts racing through their minds. They had two choices: sit there and die, or fight with whatever they had. Even if this ship was incomplete, even if it wasn't at full strength, it was still a warship. And in the right hands, it might just be enough. "Get to your stations," Darius ordered, his voice like steel. "Let's see what this ship can do." As his crew scrambled into action, the laughter of the aliens still echoed in his mind. They had mocked humanity for being weak. They had thought this ship was nothing but a useless relic. But now, with an enemy fleet bearing down on them, Darius had a feeling they were about to learn just how wrong they were. The Oblivion-class warship trembled as its systems roared to life. The once dead consoles now pulsed with a strange blue glow, unfamiliar symbols scrolling across the screens as the ship's AI worked to reactivate long-dormant functions. Outside, the Zorkan fleet moved into formation, their sleek, jagged vessels circling like predators sensing wounded prey. Their weapons glowed with the ominous charge of plasma cannons, preparing to erase the laughing-stock ship from existence. Captain Darius clenched his fists, his mind racing. This wasn't just a coincidence. The Galactic Union had given this ship to humanity as a cruel joke, but the Zorkan's sudden appearance proved there was more to the story. They wanted it gone, not because it was useless, but because they feared it. Status on the weapons, he barked, snapping his crew into motion. Patel, frantically working the engineering console, shook her head. They're barely functional. It looks like most of the systems were either disabled or stripped over time. We might have energy cannons, but I don't even know if they'll fire. Shields? Harris asked, his voice tight with worry. Partially operational, Patel responded. Enough to absorb a couple of hits, but nothing more. A sudden thunderous impact rocked the ship as a Zorkan vessel opened fire, its plasma bolts slamming into their shields. The view screen flashed red with warning indicators, integrity at 76%. They're not waiting, Darius muttered. They want us gone now. The Zorkan were arrogant. They weren't using their full power, assuming that the old, rusting human vessel would fall apart with a few well-placed shots. Darius gritted his teeth. They still thought humanity was weak. Target the lead ship, he ordered. If we go down fighting. Harris hesitated, his hands hovering over the fire controls. Sir, you saw what Patel said. The weapons might not even work. Darius exhaled sharply. Then let's find out. Harris slammed his hand down on the control panel. A deep, ancient rumble shuddered through the ship's core. The hull vibrated as something far older than any of them had realized awakened within the vessel. The front-facing cannons glowed with an eerie electric blue energy, not the standard plasma the Galactic Union used. The Zorkan fleet hesitated. Their ships adjusted slightly, sensing something wrong. And then, the Oblivion fired. A blinding streak of blue-white light shot across the void, not like plasma, not like laser fire, but something else entirely. The energy pulse slammed into the lid Zorkan cruiser, bypassing its shields as if they weren't even there. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, the Zorkan warship exploded. Not a simple detonation, not a standard chain reaction. The vessel disintegrated in a silent, horrifying flash of light, its matter dissolving into nothingness. The enemy fleet, once circling like hungry beasts, suddenly stopped. Their arrogant posturing vanished in an instant, replaced by something no Zorkan warrior had ever shown toward humans before. Fear. What the hell was that? Patil whispered, her voice barely audible. Darius didn't know. But what he did know was this. Their ship, the forgotten relic of the past, had just erased a fully operational warship from existence with a single shot. The ship's eye spoke again, its voice strangely calm. Primary weapon systems at 4% operational capacity. Additional systems available upon further restoration. 4%. That was all it took to destroy a state-of-the-art Zorkan cruiser. The Zorkan ships hesitated, their sleek bodies shifting uneasily in space. They were calculating. Was it worth the risk? They had come expecting an easy kill, an effortless erasure of the weakest species in the galaxy. But now, their prize had turned into a nightmare. They're backing off, Harris breathed. They don't want to fight. Darius narrowed his eyes. The Zorkan didn't retreat. They were war-hardened, merciless, and unrelenting. Unless they had just realized what this ship actually was. Stay alert, Darius ordered. They might be calling for reinforcements. The view screen flickered, and a transmission request appeared. A direct communication from the Zorkan commander. Darius stared at the request for a long moment before pressing the accept button. The alien face that appeared was different from the usual sneering arrogance of the Zorkan. This one looked pale, uneasy, uncertain. The words he spoke next sent a chill down Darius's spine. "Human, do you even know what you're sitting in?" Captain Darius stared at the Zorkan commander on the view screen. The alien's yellow eyes flickered with unease, his scaled face pale with what could only be fear. The Zorkan never feared anything. Not humans, not war, not even death. Yet here he was, hesitating. Darius folded his arms. "What do you mean?" "It's an old junker the Union dumped on us. Nothing special." The Zorkan's mandibles twitched. "You truly don't know, do you?" A silence stretched between them. The enemy commander glanced at something off-screen, muttering in his native tongue before turning back. "Human, that ship should not exist. It was erased from history for a reason." Darius felt the weight of the words settle over him. Erased. How could a ship be erased from history? The Oblivion class was just an old relic, a decommissioned vessel tossed to humanity as an insult. But one shot. That was all it took to reduce a Zorkan warship to nothing. Patel's voice crackled over the comms. "Captain, I dug into the ship's core logs. You're gonna want to see this." Darius motioned to pause the transmission and turned toward Patel's console. The data on her screen wasn't in any modern format. It was old, ancient, written in a strange hybrid of languages. She had to manually decode parts of it. But the translation sent a chill down his spine. Project Oblivion. Status: terminated. Reason: too dangerous. Harris frowned. Too dangerous. For who? Patel exhaled. "It doesn't say. But look at this." She pointed at the energy signature from their recent shot. "This weapon system, it doesn't match anything in the known galactic database. It's not plasma. It's not laser. It's not kinetic. It's something else. Something forbidden." Darius felt his stomach tighten. Forbidden by who? Patel hesitated before answering. The Galactic Union. That didn't make sense. The Union had given humanity this ship because they thought it was useless. But if they knew what it really was, why would they risk letting it fall into human hands? The Zorkan commander's voice cut through his thoughts. "Human, listen carefully. That vessel, you must abandon it now." Darius scoffed. "Why?" "Because you're afraid of it." The commander's mandibles twitched again. Yes. The bridge fell silent. The Zorkan were not cowards. If this ship frightened them, then whatever power it held was far beyond human understanding. The alien continued, voice grim. "That ship is not just old. It is ancient. It was created before the Union. Before any of us. It was not designed for war. It was designed to end war. Completely." Darius clenched his jaw. "What does that mean?" The Zorkan commander took a slow breath. "You saw it. That weapon did not merely destroy our cruiser. It erased it. There was no wreckage, no debris. It was as if it never existed. That is Oblivion's true power. It does not kill. It erases." The weight of the words sank deep into Darius's bones. A weapon that didn't just destroy, but erased its enemies from existence. No history, no memory, no trace left behind. Patel's voice wavered. "Captain, if that's true, then who built it? And why?" The Zorkan commander's gaze hardened. "No one knows. Only that those who used the Oblivion-class ships vanished. The Union purged all records of them. Any species that attempted to restore one of these vessels met the same fate." Darius exhaled. The pieces were falling into place. The Union hadn't given this ship to humanity as an insult. They had given it to them as a death sentence. A warning siren blared across the bridge. Harris whipped toward his console. "Captain, multiple new contacts inbound." Darius turned back to the screen. The Zorkan commander looked grim. "They're here." "Who?" Darius demanded. The commander's voice was dark. "The Union." The bridge of the Oblivion-class ship was silent, but the tension hung thick in the air. Darius stared at the tactical display. 5 Union warships, All of them were closing in fast. These weren't simple patrol ships. They were heavy dreadnoughts, each one capable of wiping out entire fleets. Patel's voice was tight. "Captain, they're hailing us." Darius nodded. "Put them through." The view screen flickered, and an imposing figure appeared. Admiral Vorel of the Galactic Union. Her sharp, angular face was unreadable, her eyes cold and calculating. "Captain Darius of the Terran vessel," she said, her voice smooth yet dangerous. "Power down your engines and surrender your ship immediately." Darius folded his arms. "On what grounds?" Vorel's expression didn't change. "You are in possession of forbidden technology. That ship must not exist." Darius smirked. "Funny. The Union gave us this ship." Vorel's lips thinned. It was a mistake. A chill ran through the crew. That wasn't just a simple order. It was a death sentence. Harris muttered under his breath. "They don't want the ship back. They want to erase us with it." Darius stayed calm, but inside, his mind was racing. 5 dreadnoughts, each one armed with weapons that could level planets. If they attacked, there was no escape. The Zorkan commander's voice cut through the comms. "Human, listen to me. If you surrender, you and your entire species will be purged. The Union cannot allow knowledge of that ship to exist." Darius clenched his fists. Of course, that was the real reason humanity had been given this relic. The Union wanted them to die with it. He turned back to Vorel. "And if we refuse?" Vorel's voice was like ice. "Then you will be destroyed." Patel's fingers flew over her console. "Captain, they're locking weapons." Darius inhaled sharply. This was it. Surrender and die. Fight and die. Either way, they were dead. Unless... His eyes flicked to the weapons panel. One shot. That's all it had taken to erase a Zorkan cruiser from existence. If they had any chance of survival, it lay in the power of this ship. "Patel," he said slowly, "can we fire that weapon again?" She hesitated. "Maybe. But I don't even know how it works. The system activated itself last time." Darius turned to the screen, staring at the Union fleet. They were preparing to fire. Time was running out. "Figure it out," he ordered. "Because if we don't fire first, we're dead." Patel's fingers blurred across the controls. Alarms blared. The ship shook as the first Union blast slammed into its shields. Darius gritted his teeth. Fire. And then, the ship came alive. A deep guttural hum vibrated through the metal, and the bridge lights dimmed. The strange, ancient weapon, the one the Union feared, charged once more. Outside, the void itself seemed to twist as the weapon powered up. Vorel's face finally showed emotion. Fear. No. The screen cut to static. A blinding pulse erupted from the Oblivion-class ship, and in an instant, the 5 Union dreadnoughts were gone. No debris, no explosion, nothing. As if they had never existed. The bridge was silent. No one spoke. No one breathed. The only sound was the soft hum of the ship settling back into silence. Patel's voice was barely a whisper. "Captain, what have we just done?" Darius stared at the empty void where the fleet had been. He had wanted to survive. But now, for the first time, he truly understood why this ship was feared. They hadn't just won the battle. They had erased it from history. And now, the entire galaxy would know. The silence on the bridge was suffocating. The void where 5 Union dreadnoughts had once been was now just nothingness. No wreckage, no debris, just an empty stretch of space, as if they had never existed at all. Darius exhaled slowly, his mind struggling to process what had just happened. Harris broke the silence first. His voice was hoarse. What did we just do?" Patel's hands trembled over the console. "It wasn't an explosion, Captain. It was something else. The weapon didn't destroy them. It erased them." Darius turned to her. "Explain." She shook her head. "I don't know how. The data makes no sense. It's like those ships were never even there, like they were removed from time itself. A cold chill settled over the crew. Then the long-range scanners blared. Patel's face went pale. "Captain, we have a problem." Darius moved to her console. The display was lighting up with incoming signals. Not just a few, not just dozens, hundreds, thousands. The entire Union fleet had been alerted. Every listening station in the sector had picked up the impossible event that had just happened here. The Oblivion-class ship had revealed itself to the galaxy. And now, every major power was moving. A Zorkan battle group was already on the way, likely hoping to claim the ship's power for themselves. A Union armada was mobilizing, this time, with weapons that could tear apart planets. Even neutral factions, pirate warlords, and black market syndicates had taken notice. Every ship capable of travel was converging on their location. Harris let out a shaky breath. We just became the biggest target in the galaxy. Darius clenched his fists. He had known this ship was dangerous. But this wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about power. The kind of power that could change the balance of the entire galaxy. And everyone wanted it. "Captain," Patel whispered, "we need to run. Now." Darius looked at the incoming signals. There were too many. Running wasn't an option. No ship could outrun an entire galaxy. Then something else caught his attention. A faint signal on the edge of their scanners. Not a warship. Not a fleet. Something old. A message. One single line, written in a long-forgotten Terran dialect. "Return home. The answers await." Darius's heart pounded. Where had that come from? And more importantly, who had sent it? The message pulsed on the screen like a heartbeat. "Return home. The answers await." Darius stared at it, his mind racing. No one in the galaxy used that dialect anymore. It was ancient Terran, a language lost to time. "Where is it coming from?" he demanded. Patel's fingers flew across the console, triangulating. "Captain, this doesn't make sense. The signal is coming from deep inside the old Terran exclusion zone." The crew went silent. The exclusion zone, a place where no ship had ever returned from. A region so dangerous, so shrouded in mystery, that even the most reckless scavengers refused to go near it. Harris shook his head. "That's a death trap. The Union, the Zorkan, the syndicates, they're all coming for us. We can't just fly into a dead sector." Darius exhaled. "We don't have a choice. We can't outrun them. We can't fight them all. And whoever sent this message, they know what this ship is. They know what it can do." Silence. Then Patel spoke, her voice hesitant. "If the ship was made by humans, maybe the ones who built it are still out there." Darius's pulse quickened. The idea was impossible. Humanity's lost past. For centuries, Earth had been nothing more than a distant memory. The old Terran Empire had collapsed ages ago, swallowed by war and time. But what if something had survived? What if the builders of this ship were still watching? Outside, the stars burned like distant torches. The galaxy was coming for them. Thousands of warships, entire fleets, every power in the universe wanted what they had. Darius clenched his fists. They would find out the truth, or die trying. Set course for the exclusion zone. The engines roared to life. The weak ship they had mocked disappeared into the darkness, leaving a galaxy of predators in its wake. And as they jumped into the unknown, the message flickered once more. "Welcome home."